Hey guys, we are going to talk about personal selling process with focusing upon prospecting, pre-approach, and post-approach stages of this personal selling process. So let's start. See, salesperson in general, they agree that there are certain basics of selling. Out of those basics, the first basic of selling is prospecting, or meaning that who should we call on to do our sales. Prospecting and qualifying, these are two things that basically they go hand in hand. And obviously, it is a wastage of time and effort to contact to wrong people who ultimately cannot become our customer. So qualifying basically involves spending time on the right kind of people, meaning that those who are more likely to take a positive sales decision. It is necessary to know more and more about these prospects, and this is again a kind of pre-approach. Once these preliminaries are over, once these preparations are done with, then a salesman comes in contact with the prospect and actual approach begins. Actual selling is done by demonstration of the product as well as certain presentations about the product. Overall conduct of the salesman over here, it matters a lot. Now, the prospect may raise certain queries, and doubts, or which we call as objections about the product. They need to be handled very effectively. The final basic of of closing a sale is the final basic is closing of sale, which according to Tom Hopkins has both the elements of art as well as science. Now, marketing practitioners advise and suggest that salesmen must continue their valuable services to the prospect even after the sales has been done. This can be done either through follow up or maintenance, because they consider that selling is not an event only, a standalone event, it is a continuous process rather. Now, these are the following steps that have been identified in a selling process. There is prospecting and qualifying, then they move on to pre-approach and approach, followed by sales presentation and demo, then objections are handled, then finally the sales is closed, and after that follow up and maintenance is carried out. So going by the sequence of the same, we'll first look at prospecting. A salesman has to first prepare himself in the terms of the competition, the overall market conditions, the entire complete product knowledge, as well as the best technique of selling the product. He must be prepared on these four parameters before he proceeds with the sales. Now, once he is prepared, then he has to first locate the customers. Also, he has to identify the ideal prospects profile, and of course he can go for references either from existing customers, suppliers, distributors, dealers, other salespeople, and even trade associations. There might be certain poor leads as well, which must be eliminated very skillfully. And a prospect are qualified on the basis of the factors like whether they are employed or not, whether they are married or not, number of dependents they are having, and the kind of products they are currently using. Certain prospecting techniques are also there, where even when in cases when there is no referral, then salesmen can go for replacement demand technique. Now, what is this replacement demand? We will just have a look at it. See, people generally, you and me also, we tend to replace a product after using it because either we say that it has become obsolete, or it has become old due to wear and tear, or it is not 100% functionally perfect, or if these reasons are not valid, then we simply say that we are fed up using the same product, right? So this is what a replacement demand is, and it is there for every product. So salespeople, they try to assess the replacement cycle for the product they sell. It may be different for different products, and it may show variations as well. Even the personality of the buyer matters over here most. Impatient buyers, impatient type buyers, they tend to go for a replacement demand more often as compared to the patient ones. Next, we have a pre-approach stage. Now, before actually visiting the prospect, the salespeople must try to gain as much information and knowledge about their prospect. They must try to know about their consumption pattern of a particular product or service, or even the usage overall. Right, this helps them in further deciding their strategy. There should also be some attempt to choose between several methods of approach, like there might be a written communication before an actual visit is made, or a telephone call, right? Even the sales strategy is decided as a part of pre-approach only. Talking about approach. Now here the salesman and the prospect are face to face with each other. Salesman must take care of the certain following meeting etiquettes like greeting the customer, have a cordial start to the conversation, as these things they create a base for a future presentation and demonstration to go on smoothly. Now under approach we have got presentation and demonstration like I just mentioned. A typical sales presentation follows the AIDA approach, where A stands for attract the attention of the buyer, I is for interest creation in the product, next D is for creating a desire in the buyer to possess the product, and finally that leads to the buying action or action as we have mentioned. So AIDA approach, I hope you remember those theories of personal selling session that we have. Over there was the AIDAS theory of personal selling. So from there only it has been derived. Okay, this AIDA approach. Now sales presentation can be a canned sales talk, which is useful mostly in door-to-door selling or telephone selling, or it might so it is basically a memorized kind of a talk, and which is rehearsed a number of times, just like we have in the movies. They rehearse their dialogues a lot of times before the final take. Similarly, salesperson, they also memorize and rehearse a number of times before actually going and approaching the prospect. There might be a formulated approach as well, where which is based on a stimulus response thinking, where a discussion takes place between the buyer and the seller, and the buyer reveals his needs and his attitudes. Now based upon that, the salesman has to relate the product to these needs as expressed by the prospect. There is also another approach which is a consultant type approach, where the customer talks about his needs and the salesman listens peacefully and very carefully, and after listening to the entire thing, whatever the prospect has to say, the salesman merely acts as a consultant to facilitate the sales. Usually in the sales presentation, demonstration is also a part of it. So some demonstration aids are visual aids, sampling, charts, slides, brochures, satisfied customer testimonials, and even some booklets. These are used as a demonstration tool during a presentation. There might be certain usage of questions as well. So the idea behind this use of question is to give as much positive alternate choices to the prospect so as to avoid the chances of a negative answer. For example, a salesman may ask, should I come at 3 o'clock? And the prospect might say yes and might say no. So there is a 50-50% chances of yes and no. Instead of this question, the salesman, if he asks that I am visiting your area today in the afternoon, I am able to drop in at 3, or would you like me to wait till 4? Right. So now over here, what the salesman has done is he has very trickily he has given two options. So two yes options are given, either at 3 or at 4, and the third one might obviously be no. So the chances of a yes over here has been increased from 50% in the former example to this one to 66% of a yes, right? So perhaps the prospect may say, okay, 4 would be all right. Even then it is a yes, right? So these questions are also used in a very tricky manner by the salesman. Next is handling objections. Now during this course of sales presentation, there might be time when, or at the time of closing of the sale, salesman may encounter certain objections from the prospect. He might be having any doubts, question, queries. Now these objections must never be considered as a negative. On the contrary, I suggest that these must be taken as a positive sign, because the buyer is revealing his buying intention. That is why he is interested, and that is why he is asking these questions. Had he been not interested, he would have not have asked any questions, right? So this is again a positive sign over here. Objections could be psychological objections. For example, image in the mind of the prospect about a preferred or established or a reputed brand. Or these objections might be logical objections. For example, poor performance of a product supplied in the past. So they are using that kind of their experience and then deriving a logic out of it. So objections can be of these two types. Now, a good salesman has also to judge between a condition and an objection. See, objection can always be overcome, but a condition is simply a block to the sale. Example, a person who cannot afford a product and is also not qualified for a loan is basically is not an objection, it's a condition. And conditions make a sale impossible, and it is better to terminate the sales talk rather than to go ahead with it. Now, if we try to recognize objections versus conditions, the statement number 1 that is highlighted that is written in red, the statement reads that your rate is too high. Now this is an objection. We can do something about it. We can try to negotiate. We can try to maybe reduce our profit margin so as to make a new customer. So this is an objection in which we can do something. We as a salesman. Statement number 2 states, my partner wants to close the business. Right now, this is something. Can we do anything about it? Obviously not. This is a condition. It is a dead end. Statement number 3 states, I don't have money right now. Again, a condition. We cannot give you money to buy our product here. Next is, I am using a competitor of yours that is better. Now, this is something because the prospect is buying our product, but from our competitor who he thinks that the competition is better than us. So this is something which we can do something about by asking what are the facilities which the competitor is providing, by trying to find out his price and trying to offer at par or even reduced prices. This is objection. It can be handled carefully. Statement number 5 is, I can't compete with other pizza stores in my area. Again, we can do nothing about it. It's a condition. Now, if the prospect says that his business is not growing, that is why he cannot afford to advertise with us, right? So this is something, again, a condition, roadblock. We cannot do anything about it. So I hope you got the hang of it, the difference between a condition and an objection. Certain tips on handling objections. We must make the prospect understand our offer, but at the same time not to argue with him and not to make him feel like prove him wrong, right? So very skillfully we have to manage the presentation, and such should be the presentation that these objections are automatically covered inside that presentation only, right? After answering objections, salesman must ensure that the prospect has got satisfactory clarification of his queries. Now this has been done, then we move on to closing the sale. Closing the sale basically results in receiving an order for a product or service. So salesmen, they try to keep a handheld device like a palm top with them, which contains information about retail inventory, promotional deals, reorder requirements for the retailer, apart from carrying a order book inside it. So basically the idea behind over here is that we must not take too long in closing the sale, as that might lead to wastage of our efforts. As there is a famous saying that says that strike the hammer when the iron is still hot. So this is the same scenario over here. Closing ultimately is a process that facilitates the prospect to be decisive. He has to decide now between a yes and a no. These decisions should be ultimately in the interest of the buyer, and in case the salesman forces a prospect to buy something which is not ultimately in the prospect's interest, then the salesman is not selling, he is actually just cheating. Then we have got certain post-sales activities as well. Now, sales is not basically an end by itself. Post-sale activities, they basically lay a foundation for repeat purchase or future business, right? And they contribute in the goodwill to create a goodwill of the firm. Post-sale activities may involve installation of the product, proper instruction on how to operate the product, and even proper servicing and maintenance of the product. So with this, we conclude our personal selling process. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next session. Till then, it's me, Amit Sharma, signing off. Bye-bye and take care.